They say the wolf was the danger, but no one ever talks about what Little Red Riding Hood did after she took off the hood. Hey there, storytellers. Welcome to YourScripts, where we bring your written tales to life through short films. If you enjoy what you see, don't hesitate to share your own stories with us for a chance to get a shout-out and a feature. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to stay tuned for more incredible stories. Now, let's dive into today's video. They called her Red. Not because it was her favorite color or because she wore it all the time. No, it was because of the cloak. The one stitched by her grandmother. The one that somehow never stained, no matter what got on it. It was bright, unforgettable. The kind of red you see right before something bad happens. Red lived on the edge of the woods in a crooked little house with her mother. The forest was off limits, obviously. Everyone in the village knew that. Her mom used to say,
"You don't step past that tree line unless you want to disappear like your father."
To which Red would roll her eyes and mutter,
"He probably disappeared because you wouldn't stop nagging."
Spoiler, Dad was very gone. No one really talked about it. Anyway, Red wasn't your average sweet apple pie kind of girl. She was sharp, quiet, smart enough to keep her head down, but weird enough that people whispered about her when she passed by. One day, her mother pulled her aside with a basket and that same overly dramatic tone she always used when she thought she was the main character.
"Your grandmother's sick again. Take this to her, but don't talk to anyone, and stay on the path."
Red gave a half smile and took the basket.
"Sure, Mom, because mysterious forest paths always lead to good things."
She headed out, sticking to the worn dirt road that cut through the village and led toward the edge of the trees. People were already out, chatting, watching, judging. Same as always. Mrs. Alder from across the lane squinted from her porch, whispering something behind her hand. Red sighed.
So much for blending in.
She saw a group of boys ahead, ones who used to yank her cloak or hiss "witch" under their breath. They were laughing, tossing rocks, daring each other to steal from the bakery. That's when Red veered off the road. Not because she wanted trouble, but because avoiding it sometimes meant stepping into darker places. She slipped through the thicket where the village fences ended and the wild woods began. It was quieter there. No gossip, no stares. Just the creak of branches and the soft crunch of leaves beneath her boots. Red, in her signature cloak, stepping into the woods like she owned them. The birds went silent the second she crossed that invisible line. The trees got taller. The shadows stretched longer. But Red? She didn't flinch. She liked the quiet. Halfway through the woods, she met him. The wolf. Not an actual four-legged animal. Nah. This wolf walked like a man, talked like one too. But there was something off. His smile was too wide, his eyes too sharp. And when he spoke, it was like he already knew what scared you.
"Where are you headed, little lady?"
Red didn't blink.
To visit someone, not that it's any of your business.
He chuckled.
"So polite. Your mother teach you that?"
Red tilted her head.
Number my knife did.
He chuckled. They locked eyes for a second longer than comfort allowed. Then she turned her back to him, slowly, deliberately, and kept walking. But he didn't leave. Instead, he strolled beside her like they were old friends catching up.
"You know,"
he said casually, hands in his coat pockets.
"there's a quicker way to the cottage."
Red glanced sideways, not slowing her pace.
You know where I'm going?
"You said you're visiting someone, and that basket smells like someone's about to get spoiled."
Red said nothing.
"The shortcut's not on the map.
He added,
Locals only. But if you're brave enough for the woods, I figured you might be brave enough for the fast lane."
She should have said no. She should have asked more questions. But the way he said it, like she was in on some secret, made her curious. And the idea of avoiding that long, winding trail, filled with memories she didn't want to think about, tempting.
Fine,
she said after a pause.
Lead the way.
He grinned.
"Smart girl."
He pointed through a break in the trees, barely a trail, more like a suggestion of one. Roots curled like claws from the soil. Thorns brushed her cloak. The path felt hungrier. Still, she followed. They walked in silence at first. Then came the questions. Too many of them.
You always wear red? You live in the village? Do you go to the woods often? Got a boyfriend waiting for you at Grandma's?
She rolled her eyes.
Do you always talk this much to strangers?
He smirked.
Only the interesting ones.
They reached a bend in the trail. The air was colder here. The trees leaned in tighter. Red slowed, instincts buzzing like alarm bells in her gut.
You said this was faster.
She muttered.
It is.
He said smoothly.
Just trust me.
She didn't, but she also didn't turn back. The cottage was just beyond the ridge. She could already smell the chimney smoke. And as she climbed the hill, the stranger's voice drifted behind her.
I hope she's home.
Red turned. He was gone. No sound, no footprints, just vanished. The only thing left was the crooked smile still hanging in the air. The path ends at a crooked wooden gate, half covered in moss and ivy. Red grips the basket tighter. She's standing outside her grandmother's cottage, but something's wrong. The garden's overgrown, the windows are dark, and the front door, barely hanging on its hinges. She knocks once. Creak! The door swings open on its own. Red freezes.
Grandma?
No answer. Just cold air and silence. Then, from somewhere inside, too deep, too smooth, a voice calls out,
Come in, sweetheart.
Red steps inside slowly, every instinct screaming at her to leave. The room smells like damp earth and something sharp, like rust. The fireplace is dark, the curtains drawn. Dust floats through the air like it's holding its breath. She calls out again.
Grandma?
No reply, just the sound of wind pressing against the windows. Then she sees it. The bed. And someone in it. Blankets pulled high, lace bonnet tucked low. The figure shifts slightly and speaks again, this time quieter.
Come closer, my dear. You've grown so much.
Red narrows her eyes. She moves closer, carefully. One step, then another. And now she sees things she wishes she hadn't. The hands resting on the covers, too big, scarred. Knuckles thick like bark. The scent in the air, not rosewater like Grandma always wore. This smells like sweat and blood. Then she sees it, sticking out just slightly beneath the blankets. A boot, worn, muddy. Definitely not something Grandma ever owned. Red stops. Her heart is pounding now. This isn't right. This isn't her grandmother. The voice tries again.
Why? Don't you want to give your dear old grandma a hug?
Red doesn't move, and she just stares at the face under the bonnet. It's mostly in shadow, but now she's close enough to see the jawline. Strong, masculine, wrong, and in that moment, she knows. This isn't the man she saw in the forest earlier. That one was all teeth and charm, dangerous but flashy. This one's quiet, a patient. Worse. Red whispers under her breath.
You're not him. You're worse.
And beneath the blankets, the imposter grins. Red doesn't move. She just stands there, still silent, pretending like she's unsure. In reality, she's stalling. Her eyes dart around the room. Every corner, every shadow, every object. Something here will tell her what's going on. Then, she sees it. A leather-bound journal, old and cracked, jammed between the stones of the hearth like someone hid it in a hurry. While the figure in the bed mutters something soft and coaxing, Red takes one careful step toward the fireplace. And another. She drops her basket, thunk. The figure flinches, but doesn't rise. Red grabs the journal with shaky hands and flips it open. The handwriting is shaky, familiar, it's her grandmother's. Entry 1.
Another girl missing. No one talks about it out loud, but they know. They always know.
Entry 7.
They call them wolves, but they wear boots. They smile like fathers and uncles.
Entry 14.
There's one I see sometimes in the trees. He wears red. I think it's him. I pray I'm wrong.
Red's throat tightens. She flips faster, pages shaking between her fingers. Entry 21.
She's growing older now. I told her mother not to let her wear red. But she insists, says the cloak will protect her. I'm not sure anymore.
Entry 22.
If he finds her, she'll never come back.
She stops, staring down at a crude sketch drawn in ink and panic of a man's face. A strong jaw, sharp cheekbones, a scar under one eye, the same face lying under the bonnet. Red's breath catches. It's him, her father, the man her mother said was dead, the same man who once gave that red cloak to her mother for protection. And suddenly her mother's words echo in her head like a whisper through time.
If you ever see him, run. The cloak will tell him who you are. But it'll also keep the others away.
Her knees almost buckle. This was never about a bedtime story. It was a trap, a test. Her whole life she was wearing a beacon, a flare in red silk that said, "This one's mine." Red looks at the figure in bed, still pretending, still waiting. He doesn't even know she knows. She speaks calm but cold.
You're not her.
The figure tenses. Red's voice is steady now, fierce.
She'd never leave the fireplace cold.
And just like that, the game drops. The figure throws off the covers. His face is hers, older, hardened, eyes glowing with a kind of hunger you don't get from fairy tales.
I always knew you'd find me.
Red doesn't respond. Her hand slides under the bed just like the journal said. Click. Her fingers wrap around something smooth, cold, familiar. A blade. Her grandmother left it for her, just in case. He steps forward.
You've grown.
He says, like it's some proud father reunion. Red doesn't flinch.
You've done this before, haven't you?
His face twists, not in guilt, but in amusement.
I was never supposed to find you,
He says softly, and
but I did.
he lunges. She's faster. Red dives to the side, rolling across the floor just as his arm swipes at where her neck had been. Crash. His weight hits the table, sending teacups flying. She's already moving, blade in hand, breath sharp, eyes scanning. This isn't just survival, this is war. She darts toward the kitchen. He follows, growling through his teeth.
You're mine, girl.
Red slams a drawer shut behind her. Knives scatter to the ground. She grabs one and spins. Clang. Metal meets metal. He's strong, but she's quicker, smarter. She kicks the table leg. It collapses beneath him. He crashes to the floor. She runs, not away, but up, to the attic, where she remembers the dry straw, the lantern oil, the stack of firewood her grandmother always kept, just in case the winters turned cruel. She hears his footsteps behind her. Slow. Heavy. Hunting. Red pulls the lantern down, cracks the oil over the floorboards, trailing it like a fuse. He appears in the doorway, bloodied but smiling.
You'll learn.
He sneers.
They always do.
Red's voice is cold now, steel wrapped in silk. She lights the match. The oil catches in a breath. Flames erupt behind her. She doesn't stop. She hurls a fire poker at him. It grazes his face. He stumbles back, blinded by heat. Red leaps from the attic ladder, landing rough, knees buckling. But she's up again, flying through smoke. She doesn't look back. The fire devours the house behind her. Windows explode from the heat. Beams collapse. The roof caves in with a roaring crack. She stands in the clearing, breathless, watching flames paint the sky. And inside, trapped beneath burning beams, broken and bleeding, the wolf is finally caged. Red doesn't smile. She doesn't need to. She just walks away, ash in her hair, blade at her side, and a fire still burning in her eyes. The fight was over. The cottage was gone, burned, and broken. And Red? She walked out of the woods, bruised, bleeding, but alive. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She won. As she walked, she passed a tree. Hanging from it was the cloak that belonged to the first man, the smooth-talking stranger from earlier. It was ripped and empty, a warning. Red's voice came in calmly.
They say this was a fairy tale, but it was never meant for children. The red cloak didn't mean I was sweet. It meant I was marked. Wolves don't always have fur. Sometimes they smile. They know your name. They live in your house.
1 month later, Red walks through the woods again. She's wearing a dark cloak now. Her steps are quiet. Her eyes are sharp. From the trees, a man steps out, calm, smooth, and smiling. He says,
"Where are you headed, little girl?"
Red looks at him, smiles sweetly.
To visit someone. But I'm in no rush.
She walks right past him, like nothing's wrong. But now we know the truth. She's not lost. She's not scared. She's hunting. Story number 2, the original. Once upon a time, not in a far-off land, but in a chill little village that practically whispered, "Don't go into the woods," there lived a sweet girl who everyone absolutely adored. She was kind, polite, the kind of girl who always shared her bread and thanked the birds for their songs. But if there was one person who loved her more than anyone else, it was her grandmother. This woman adored her, like, "I'd fight a bear for you" level of love. One day, she gave the girl a handcrafted red velvet hood. It fit her so perfectly, and she rocked it so often, that people stopped calling her by her actual name. From then on, she was just Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Red's mom packed up a basket with a slice of soft cake and a small flask of sweet wine.
Your grandma's not feeling well.
She said, handing it over.
Take these to her, be polite, stay on the path, don't go wandering into the woods, got it?
Red nodded, adjusting her hood like a pro.
Got it, Mom. Stay on the path. No shortcuts. No wolves.
And off she went, skipping down the forest path like the picture of innocence. Her destination? Grandma's cottage, tucked deep beneath 3 massive oaks, past a wall of hazel bushes that basically screamed witchy fairy tale energy. Now Red was just vibing with nature when out stepped the wolf. Okay, not the giant snarly kind. This one walked upright. Wore clothes, talked smooth. A little too smooth.
"Good day, little miss."
He said with a toothy grin. Where might you be off to on such a fine morning? Red, because she was polite and maybe a little naive, smiled.
To visit my grandmother. She's sick. I brought cake and wine.
The wolf nodded, eyes glinting.
"And where does your dear grandmother live?"
Just past the woods, by the old oak trees.
And right then, something dark sparked in his brain.
2 for 1 special.
He thought. But instead of making a move, the wolf smiled wider.
You know, the flowers are blooming so beautifully today. Your grandmother would love some. Why not pick her a bouquet?
Red paused. He had a point. It was early. The woods looked magical, and flowers did seem like a sweet idea. So she stepped off the path, and that was her mistake. Meanwhile, the wolf booked it to Grandma's house. He knocked gently on the door. A voice called out, frail and sweet.
"Who's there?"
It's me, Little Red.
He replied, sugar sweet.
I brought cake and wine.
"Come in, dear.
The voice said.
Lift the latch."
And that was all he needed. He burst in, swallowed Grandma whole, like, no hesitation, and slipped into her clothes like it was just another Tuesday. He fluffed the pillows, pulled the covers up high, adjusted the cap, and waited. Soon, Red arrived, arms full of wildflowers, red hood glowing. She noticed the door was slightly open. Weird. The room cold and quiet. Something didn't feel right. She crept in, whispering.
Grandma?
From the bed, a voice replied.
"Come closer, my dear."
Red stepped forward slowly. Her instincts were screaming at her, but she tried to stay calm. She pulled the curtain back.
Grandma,
Yes, my child?
what big ears you have,
All the better to hear you with.
and what big eyes you have.
All the better to see you with.
Your hands, they're huge.
All the better to hold you with.
And then Red's voice dropped.
But, Grandma, what massive teeth you have.
And that's when the wolf roared.
All the better to eat you with.
In an instant, he leapt from the bed and swallowed Little Red Riding Hood whole. Satisfied and full, he climbed back into bed and drifted into a deep, snoring sleep. Not long after, a huntsman happened to pass by the cottage. He heard the loud, unnatural snoring and thought,
Something is not right.
Curious, he stepped inside. There, in the bed, lay the wolf, bloated and sleeping soundly.
I have been hunting this beast for so long.
Thought the huntsman.
He must have swallowed the grandmother whole. Perhaps I can still save her.
Instead of shooting, he took a sharp pair of scissors and carefully cut open the sleeping wolf's belly. At once, Little Red Riding Hood's red cap appeared, and the girl sprang out, frightened but safe. Then came the grandmother, weak but unharmed. Together, they filled the wolf's belly with heavy stones. When the beast awoke and tried to flee, the weight dragged him down and he fell dead on the spot. Relieved and joyful, the huntsman took the wolf's pelt, and the grandmother finally enjoyed the cake and wine. Little Red Riding Hood, though grateful to be safe, thought deeply and said,
I will never stray from the path again.
But the story does not end there. Later, as Little Red Riding Hood journeyed once more to visit her grandmother, another wolf tried to stop her. This time, she was wiser. She did not leave the path and reached her grandmother safely. She told her about the wolf who had stared at her in a wicked way.
We must be careful,
Said the grandmother, and they locked the door tight. But the wolf was sly. He circled the house, climbed onto the roof, and planned to wait until Little Red Riding Hood left, so he could eat her on her way home. Yet the grandmother saw through his trickery. She whispered to her granddaughter,
Fetch a bucket, child. Yesterday I boiled sausages. Fill the trough with the water.
Little Red Riding Hood did as she was told. Soon the smell of the sausages drifted up to the wolf. Hungry and greedy, he leaned too far forward, lost his balance, and tumbled from the roof into the trough below, where he drowned. Safe at last, Little Red Riding Hood returned home happily, her lesson well learned. From that day forward, she never again wandered from the path, and she always listened to the wise words of her mother and grandmother.